first glance, Marvel Heroes is overflowing with potential. It attempts to combine the frenetic action combat of classic Diablo with the persistent world and heavy instancing of an MMO, all dressed up in Marvel's tights. Fighting famous villains like Green Goblin or Magneto while hunting for loot in a free-to-play framework should be fun, but that expectation makes it all the more disappointing when Marvel Heroes regularly feels like a chore, thanks to stilted progression systems, repetitive combat, and an incredibly limited endgame.
Don't call me and I won't call you. All the pieces are coming into place.
Marvel Heroes does a good job at recreating iconic characters, costumes, and environments in a reassuringly familiar aesthetic. Spell effects in particular look great, and there's no slowdown when a lot of heroes are all casting their abilities at once. But while dressing your heroes in famous vintage costumes, such as those from the 90s X-Men cartoon, is a nice idea in theory, in practice it's actually a bit of a drawback. One of the key things that keeps loot drops worth chasing is seeing your character with bigger, better, and flashier gear equipped. In Marvel Heroes, your appearance is only as unique as you're willing to pay for. That is, unless the very low drop rates happen to give you a new hero or costume as a loot. Given the outrageous $20 price tags for popular heroes like Spider-Man or Deadpool, it's pretty much a given your starter character's appearance won't evolve much beyond the 5 free second stringers you can choose from at the start. The story told through the 8 campaign chapters may ring bells for anyone who's played Marvel Ultimate Alliance, but its appeal is up thanks to the graphic novel presentation and faithful depictions of familiar characters. But while it's pretty cool comic book fare, the drawback is that it does focus largely on the Avengers and X-Men. So if you're playing as a character with no particular connection to either, you're probably going to feel slightly sidelined.
Hydra Island. Troops of our best SHIELD agents are taking the Hydra front lines out as we speak.
Marvel Heroes' looks may not offend the senses, but the same sadly can't be said for how it plays. Boredom arises from failures on 2 critical fronts: combat and loot. Fighting feels rather stilted and lackluster, and the lack of variety in both enemies and customizable character abilities makes both content and combat feel shallow when compared to the likes of Diablo 2. For every exciting encounter with the giant sentinel, there are dozens of dull slogs through nameless Magier goons, and I regularly found myself spamming Storm's chain lightning ability and little else. I felt like I'd seen all Marvel Heroes had to offer after an hour. But the real trouble lies with the design philosophy behind loot progression. Even if you enjoy scrutinizing every piece of gear to see which will give you the biggest edge, the lack of visualized loot completely trivialized progression, which in turn made me feel much less inclined to hunt for more loot. Sadly, the extremely weak endgame only compounds this problem, which really isn't a good thing when you consider that the whole draw of it should be focused on making you care about loot. PvP still has a beta label on it, and it's so unbalanced right now there's no point in playing. Meanwhile, most of the post-campaign PvE content revolves around repetitive daily quests that recycle the campaign's locations and enemies. Only the survival challenge missions, where your squad tries to reach objectives through waves of enemies, provided any real fun. In fact, for the first time in all of Marvel Heroes, those actually made me feel like I was part of a superhero team. I'm sure there are people out there who'll find enjoyment in the campaign, but I struggle to see how anyone will keep playing for long once that's done.
SHIELD has agents on site, but we need your help. Get to the raft and do what you can. Good luck.
Marvel Heroes feels schizophrenic and unsure of what it wants to achieve. There's little of the engaging combat and compelling visual progression systems found in classic action RPGs like Diablo and Baldur's Gate, nor is there the scope and wealth of content that characterizes major MMO games. In trying to add components from the MMO genre into a simplified ARPG, Gazillion has failed to recreate the exciting gameplay that can be found in either. For more on Marvel Heroes, keep it on IGN.